Ooh. Oh my goodness. It's in there. Okay guys, the time has come. If you don't know what time it is, you ain't been following me for very long. Look what I have. Cages, baby. I went with On Point this time because they have a no-cut cage, so you don't have to cut the fairings for this one. Kind of resembles the race rails that I had from FMS. So they look nice. They got the shocks, kind of like the shocks that I had on my F4. I had New Breed stump parts cages on it. I really like the wrapping. I wanted to show you guys the wrapping. They even have their own bubble wrap, so that's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. Exhaust bracket, all the hardware. This is the sub cage here. So you got the pegs, the crossbar here, the pegs, and then the, I don't know what you call them, the legs, I guess. And then this is the left side cage. This is the right side cage. So they do have an instructions. I've never seen a stunt company or a stunt parts company send instructions. I've gotten a lot of cages over the years, Groms, MTs, F4s, never had instructions. These are legit step-by-step instructions, so that's really cool. They do have on their YouTube channel, On Point Performance's YouTube channel has a video of installing these. It's pretty quick. So it's more of a, it's not narrated or anything, it's just step-by-step on the screen. And yeah, it helps, but if you need a little bit more technical help, maybe this will help you. I'm recording by myself, so I'm going to try to do as much as I can and get as good as I can. One of the things for one of these crossbars, you have to put this spacer behind the radiator mount, so in between the block and the radiator mount. So I'll do my best to try to get that in the video. Just take this lower fairing off on both sides, then loosen this middle fairing by loosening this one. The one bracket bolts right here to this motor mount right in there. There's a spacer for this side, there's no spacer for the other side. And then it just kind of slides back behind there. And then of course the other, the back bar goes here. I'll try to show you as much as I can as we go, and I'll stop and do that radiator mount here in a minute so we can get that crossbar to clear. I'm gonna raise this thing up and start taking the fairings off. There's a clip right under here, and there's screws here, here, and one right here. And it's the same on the other side. Removing the lower fairing was kind of tricky, only because I've never seen these kind of clips before. The fairing has a pin right here that goes in there, and it has a clip right here. So on this clip, you need to go forward. So what you do is you get all the bolts out, and you pull the lower fairing this way just a little bit, enough to clear this, and then go forward, and that'll slide out of there. I didn't want to break that. This one has the clip here, and then you also have this little, I don't know, this little catch. The left fairing has what goes around here, so the left fairing kind of pops off and away. Let me show you the clip up on the other side. So you pull it out a little bit, just enough to get that pin out of there, and then it goes forward. So there you go. So there's that clip, and there's the pin. All right. Then we just loosen this one, and this fairing's loose. So for the next part, we got to loosen the motor mounts, pull these motor mounts out. They tell you to support the engine just a little bit so that it doesn't shift or whatever. So I've already broke them loose. They're 14mm bolts, so you'll need a 14mm wrench or a socket. And then we're going to insert the threaded rod through the swing arm mount. This is the threaded rod that goes through the swing arm pivot. This has got lock washers, or lock nuts and washers. These are the bolts for the motor mounts. And then this is the spacer that goes on this side, on the left side. So I think they said do the left side first. I'm going to do the right side first because that motor mount's coming out nice and easy. So this will be evenly spaced once we get all the cages on. Right now we're just going to kind of plop the cage on. So I'm going to push it all the way through so it can help me hold the cage on that side. And I'm going to put the other washer and nut and have it ready on that side. We'll go in here like that. on both cages, and then this will sit on that all thread. Let's see what we got here. And I know I'm not going to be able to do this with one hand, so I'm going to have to put you guys down for a second, but there's the idea. This tab goes behind that fairing. You get the bolt in there. I don't know how we're going to do that, so I'll let you know. I don't know how they got that bolt out with those fairings still on. That bolt will not come out without the fairings off. That's a shame. We're going to have to get this fairing off because that bolt will not come out with that fairing on. So, stand by. I did get this bolt out. I did take the top piece off of the fairing, but you don't really need to. It's just you have to pull on it just enough to where it's all the way, no more pull. And then you can slide it back like that. Now the key is going to be getting this longer bolt in there with the cage hanging there. So this is going to be interesting. You're going to put this tab behind the fairing. This goes down here. And then this is going to go right here. So put that behind the fairing. Bring this in. Alright, so now we're there. Now we just got to figure out how to get this bolt in there. You know, I really don't know, guys. You almost have to have it in the cage when you put it up in there. I guess we'll try it like this. It's like one of those brain teaser puzzles. So the bolt's up against the fairing right now. I'm just going to have to pull on the fairing a little harder than I want to. Now, I was able to get the old one out going backwards, but... Ooh! Oh my goodness. It's in there.
That's what she said?
Man, that's stressful. I want to break brand new fairing. Now we got that bolt in somehow, and we got this in. We're going to start this lock nut like that, and then we're going to start this bolt here, and we're going to snug it, but we're not going to tighten it. So in their video, they say to protect your fairing, and they got this all wrapped in painter's tape. I highly recommend that. I got this side on and snugged up. As you can see, there's definitely a lot of movement there still. That's what we want. We're gonna have to take these pucks out and put the bolts in for the crossbars. But you wanna put both sides on, then put the crossbars on. And leave both sides like this until you get everything on. The bolt's in, but it's snug. As you can see right there is the bolt, and it is painful to get to. Gonna do the left side now. So on this side, the bolt came out pretty easy. You got plenty of room on this side for some reason. Put the bolt in the cage. We also need the spacer on this side. So that spaces that out. We're gonna insert this one the same way we did on the other side. Alright, there we go. I don't know if you saw that, but it's in the hole now. I think it's going in. If it doesn't go in nice and easy like that, stop, because you're stripping the motor mount. And this one does not have a through hole, so it dead ends into the block. Everything is looking good. We're going to put this washer and nut on here. Now we're going to install the crossbar. So we need to remove these bolts so we can remove the pucks on both sides, and then we're going to put the crossbars in. We got the pucks off. I recommend doing that before you mount the cages because it has this material behind it. This is the shock absorbing material. You have to like go around and poke it out, so it'd be a lot easier before you mount them. Pull these bolts out, pull the sliders out, and these will fall right out, right? All right, we're ready for the crossbars, but before we do that, where the radiator mount hits the block, you have to unbolt that and put a spacer and a bolt that they provide in the place of that. Right there is the radiator bracket. We're going to have to put the bolt and spacer that they provide with that. That way this crossbar will clear. So here's the spacer and the bolt that comes with it. I'm going to put a little Loctite on this one. So spacer, I'm going to put the washer. So it says to check clearances between the crossbars and the radiator fan to ensure they don't make contact. There should be about 1/4 inch of space. So if you need more space to space it out, we're going to add washers. This goes first. This goes in between the bracket and the block. And then if we need to add space, we'll put some washers right here to move the bracket out. All right, so we're just gonna loosen this, take this bolt out. Basically, we're just gonna put the spacer right there, okay? The bracket goes back on and then you put the bolt in it. So the bracket's gonna go up against this. It is gonna push the radiator out a little, but that's the point. So give me 1 second and I'll get this on and I'll show you the result. There is the bracket with the spacer on it. So as you can see, it's just a spacer in between the block and the radiator mount. Okay, so the lower crossbar is the shorter one. So we're going to take these loose. We're going to put this in, put these bolts in through right here. Crossbar goes in between the cage on both sides. Let me see if I can get it in here. Okay. Looks like we're pushing on it. Oh, there it goes. Okay, so crossbar is in between those two. Let's see if we can get this. Oh, it's not there. All right, let me get this crossbar on. Both crossbars in, they are snug, but they are not tight. The spacer I thought was for the lower, but it's for the upper because you notice the fan, how close that is to the, if you can see how close that is to that bar. Yeah, that's why you need the spacer. So I'm actually going to add a washer. It said 1/4 inch is ideal. That's about 1/8 of an inch. So I'm going to put another washer in there. So now you simply tighten everything up. So I'm going to start with the main motor mounts first. Then I'm going to tighten these bars, the crossbars, and then I'm going to tighten the rear all thread. Motor mounts are OEM specification. Crossbars are 25 foot-pounds on these, and then the threaded rod is only 10 foot-pounds. All we gotta do now is put the pucks back in and put the fairings back on. So we got the cage on, I got the fairings back on, everything's tight, good to go. Very small gap on the radiator fan, so might have to go add some spacers to that. Couple things to note. When you put these pucks back in, there's a lot of resistance because the shock absorber material. To get these bolts in, you really got to push on these, so have a friend hold your bike or have it in a lift like this. And on the bottom here, because the radiator's pushed out, this last little tab doesn't want to go back in here. So I'm going to leave mine out. You could trim that if you want to kind of get that pin back in, but it's okay with me. So all we got left over is the bolts that we replaced and then the 2 clips on the sides that won't go back in there right now. But I think it looks really good. I love it. For a no-cut cage, and it looks kind of like the race rails on my MT that I had from FMS, so I like the way it looks. It'll protect just fine for what I want to do, and yeah, so gotta love it. So that's how you put the on-point performance engine cage on. Be sure to check out the next video where we put the sub cage on. So I'm going to do that right now. Scroll down, click the next video, whatever it says. Like, share, and subscribe, all that good stuff. Really appreciate you checking this one out. There's a couple other mod videos on this bike and more to come. So I do have a video coming for the spools. I was going to do the spools and the tank grips in one video, and then the tank grips were not up to par, let's say. So anyway, stay tuned for the sub cage video and check that out on the channel. Otherwise, take it easy, y'all. Peace.